Your bank can flag a fraudulent payment in under 2 milliseconds, faster than you can blink.
2 milliseconds? Oliver, people can't even tap their card that fast.
Right. And it's not just fraud. The AI deciding whether you get a loan, the assistant in your banking app, the system hunting money launderers across billions of payments, it's all running quietly in the background every second.
So today we're pulling back the curtain on AI in banking, the wins, the real-world examples, and the serious risks.
Welcome back to DailyAIWizard. This is AI at work. Anastasia and Sophia are going to take you through it. And stick with us to the end, because the responsible AI part is the one that affects you most.
Let's start with why banks even need this. Banking lives or dies on one thing: trust. You hand a bank your money because you believe it'll be safe and instantly available. But that same speed is a gift to criminals. The moment payments became real-time, fraud became real-time too. Look at the numbers. Bank fraud losses are heading from about $23 billion in 2025 toward nearly $60 billion by 2030. And the newest threat is AI itself. Deepfake voices, synthetic identities, fake documents. That category of fraud exploded by over 1,200% in a single year. The old defenses, fixed rules, overnight reviews, a human eyeballing flagged transactions the next morning, were built for a slower world. By the time a person reviews a suspicious payment, the money is long gone. That's the gap AI is built to close.
To understand today's AI, it helps to see what it replaced. The first generation was rule-based. A human writes a rule like, flag any payment over $10,000, or block transactions from this country. Simple. But criminals learn the thresholds and slip underneath them, and honest customers get blocked constantly. Mountains of false alarms. Then came machine learning. Instead of a human guessing the rules, the model learns them from millions of past transactions, both fraudulent and legitimate. It picks up subtle patterns no human would ever write down. And today, we're in the real-time era. Every single transaction scored in milliseconds, with models that keep learning as fraud evolves. That shift from fixed rules to learning machines is the foundation for everything else in this episode. So where does AI actually show up in your bank? 4 big areas. 1. Fraud detection, scoring every transaction the instant it happens. 2. Credit and lending, judging risk in minutes instead of days. 3. Anti-money laundering, hunting criminal networks hidden in billions of payments. And 4. Customer service, the assistants that handle your everyday banking around the clock. We're going to walk through all 4, starting with the one you feel most directly: fraud. Here's how fraud detection actually works. The model builds a picture of what's normal for you. Your typical amounts, the places you shop, the devices you use, even the time of day you usually pay. That becomes your behavioral fingerprint. Then, every new transaction is scored against it, in real time. Tap your card at your local coffee shop, scores near 0. Sales through. But a sudden $5,000 electronics purchase in another country on a device the bank's never seen? That spikes the risk score, and the payment gets challenged or blocked before the money moves. And crucially, it learns. Every confirmed fraud and every, "no, that was really me," makes the next decision sharper. It's working. In MasterCard's 2025 report, 85% of fraud teams said AI is delivering real, measurable returns.
Okay, theory's nice, but has a real bank actually pulled this off at scale?
American Express is the textbook case. They process a staggering volume of card transactions globally. Their old rule-based system had a chronic problem. It kept flagging perfectly good purchases. Think of your card getting declined on holiday for no reason. Annoying for you, and it buried their analysts in false alarms.
So what did they change?
They moved to GPU-accelerated deep learning models, specifically the kind that read the sequence of your spending over time, not just one payment in isolation. The result was about a 6% improvement in fraud detection, with every transaction scored in under 2 milliseconds.
6% honestly sounds small.
It does, until you remember it's across billions of transactions worth trillions of dollars. At that scale, 6% is hundreds of millions of dollars in fraud caught that used to slip through. Small percentage, enormous money. Second use case, credit and lending. And this one decides whether you get a mortgage, a car loan, a credit card. The traditional process could take days and leaned on a narrow credit score. AI changes both the speed and the inputs. On speed, modern systems can weigh hundreds of signals and return a decision in minutes, sometimes seconds. U.S. digital lenders now originate over $350 billion a year on the back of this. But the more interesting part is reach. Over 1 billion people worldwide are credit invisible. No traditional credit history, so the old models just say no. AI can look at broader signals, steady rent payments, utility bills, cash flow patterns, and responsibly extend credit to people the system used to ignore. Done right, that's financial inclusion at scale.
Widen access. That sounds genuinely good. Where's the catch?
The catch is in the data. The same flexibility that lets AI include people can also exclude them unfairly. If a model leans on something like your zip code, your device, or your browsing habits, it can quietly become a stand-in for race or income, even if no one intended that.
So the model never sees race, but it finds a backdoor to it.
Exactly. It's called a proxy. And then the tool that was supposed to open doors ends up slamming them on the very people it could help. Hold that thought, because it's the heart of the responsible AI question we'll get to. Third use case, anti-money laundering. This is the unglamorous one, but it's huge. Banks are legally required to spot money laundering. Drug money, terrorist financing, sanctions evasion, hidden in their transaction flows. Miss it, and the fines run into billions. The sector faces nearly $5 billion in AML penalties. The problem with old systems is noise. More than 90% of the alerts they generate are false positives, dead ends, and each one takes a human analyst 30 to 45 minutes to clear. A mid-sized bank can burn hundreds of analyst hours a day chasing ghosts. AI flips that. By learning the difference between genuinely suspicious patterns and normal but unusual behavior, it cuts false positives by 70 to 95%, while actually catching more real laundering, because it can see networks of accounts working together that a single transaction rule would never connect.
Okay, the one most of us actually touch, the chatbot in the app.
And the benchmark is Bank of America's assistant, Erica. The scale is wild. Over 3.2 billion conversations, nearly 50 million users, and it resolves 98% of questions without a human, in about 48 seconds each.
But we've all fought with a useless chatbot. Why does this one work?
2 reasons. 1, scale of learning. Billions of real conversations make it sharp. 2, and this is the clever bit, Erica is mostly deterministic, not generative. It's not freely making up sentences like ChatGPT. It understands your question, then gives a controlled, vetted answer. That means it basically can't hallucinate your account balance, which for a bank is non-negotiable.
Smart, boring on purpose, because boring means trustworthy.
Exactly. Remember that number from the very start? 2 milliseconds. That's the entire window an AI gets to decide whether a payment is you or a criminal. Faster than you can blink. Now multiply it by billions of transactions every single day, never tired, never blinking. That is the scale of what's running quietly behind your bank card. So how does a bank actually build one of these? 4 steps, and it's a loop. Step 1, data. They gather billions of past transactions, each labeled fraud or not fraud. That labeled history is the gold. Step 2, train. The model studies those examples and learns the patterns that separate the good from the bad. Step 3, score. It goes live, scoring every real payment in milliseconds. And step 4, monitor. Every outcome, every confirmed fraud, every customer who says, "That was me," feeds back in, and the model retrains. The key insight? It's never finished. Fraud evolves, so the model has to keep evolving too. A model you train once and walk away from is obsolete within months.
We teased this earlier. Let's be honest about the dark side. If an algorithm decides who gets a loan, what goes wrong?
3 big risks. First, biased lending. A model learns from history, and if past lending was discriminatory, the model can absorb that and amplify it at massive scale, while looking perfectly objective.
The maths launders the bias.
Well put. Second, black box denials. The most powerful models are so complex that even their creators can struggle to say exactly why you were refused, which is a real problem when you have a right to an explanation. And third, privacy and proxies. Like we said, sensitive traits sneaking in through the back door of seemingly innocent data.
So it's fast and powerful. And that's exactly what makes it dangerous if it's wrong.
Right. A biased human loan officer harms a few people. A biased model harms millions. Instantly.
Okay, that's the scary half. What's being done about it?
The good news is the guardrails are real and getting stronger. 3 on the technical side. Explainable AI, so a model can show its reasons. Regular bias audits, actively testing whether outcomes are fair across groups. And human oversight, a person in the loop on the highest stakes decisions. In the US, the law already requires banks to give you a specific, plain language reason if you're denied credit.
And the regulators?
Leaning in hard. Europe's AI Act now classifies credit scoring as high risk. Banks must comply by August 2026, and fines can reach 7% of global turnover. That's not a parking ticket. For a big bank, that's billions. And it's not hypothetical. Apple and Goldman Sachs were fined tens of millions over Apple Card failures.
So the tech is only as trustworthy as the guardrails around it.
That's the whole game. The banks that win long-term won't just be the smartest, they'll be the most trusted.
So where is all this heading?
One word: agents. So far, we've talked about AI that scores or answers. The next wave is agentic AI. Systems that don't just advise, they act. They can move money, resolve a dispute end-to-end, onboard a client across multiple systems with limited human input.
Give me a real example.
JP Morgan already runs over 450 AI use cases in production, with around 230,000 employees using AI tools every day, and they're heading for 1,000. Their leaders talk openly about staff shifting from makers to checkers, supervising fleets of AI agents instead of doing every task by hand. And banks are starting, carefully, to let generative AI talk directly to customers.
Exciting and a little unnerving.
Both. Which is exactly why everything we just said about guardrails matters more, not less.
That was a lot. Oliver, bring it home. What should people remember?
4 things. 1. AI already runs your bank, quietly behind every fraud check, credit decision, and chat. 2. The benefits are real. Faster fraud blocking, wider access to credit, round-the-clock service. 3. It's accelerating, from catching money laundering to autonomous agents that act on their own. And 4, the big one, trust is the catch. Fairness, explainability, and human oversight aren't optional extras. They're the whole game.
And if your bank gets that balance right, you mostly never notice the AI at all, which is kind of the point.
Exactly. Next time on AI at Work, we head into insurance, where AI decides what your claim is worth and whether you get paid.
If you got value from this, subscribe and tell us in the comments which industry to cover next. I'm Olga.
And I'm Oliver. Thanks for watching, and we'll see you in the next one. Don't forget to support us and subscribe.